Tonight on Reporting Scotland, a whistleblower claims NHS Tayside knew for years that a neurosurgeon was putting patients at risk but let him continue operating. We hear from one woman who says her life was destroyed because Sam Eljamel experimented on her.
I was his guinea pig, you know. He had free rein on my body. He was playing God with my body, and the NHS handed him the scalpel.
NHS Tayside says it's supporting the independent review into patient care under Mr Eljamel. At the age of 21, Leanne Sutherland was suffering from chronic migraines and was referred to one of Scotland's top surgeons. What followed was months of pain and 7 operations from the same surgeon. She's now 33 and lives in constant pain. She needs crutches to walk and has a tube called a shunt through her body, controlling her spinal fluid. Her surgeon was this man, Sam Eljamel. He was suspended by NHS Tayside following internal and external reviews in 2013 and went to work in Libya. Now, another surgeon has told the BBC that NHS Tayside knew for years that their former head of neurosurgery was putting patients at risk, but let him carry on regardless. The Health Board has consistently claimed it only knew of concerns about Professor Sam Eljamel from June 2013 onwards. Now, 100 patients are calling for a public inquiry to find out exactly what harm Mr Eljamel did. Our social affairs correspondent Lucy Adams has more.
Leanne Sutherland was just 21 when she went for surgery with Professor Eljamel to treat her chronic migraines. He told her he'd use a new glue to seal the wound in the back of her skull and she'd be home in a matter of days.
Unfortunately, it did not seal properly and it burst. The wound burst open and the brain fluid started to pour out the back of my neck.
Leanne spent months in hospital. She contracted meningitis and hydrocephalus. She had 4 lumbar punctures, which her medical notes say she specifically should not have had. Years later, she found out the glue was part of a research trial.
I was his guinea pig, you know. He had free rein on my body. He was playing God with my body, and the NHS handed him the scalpel.
Sam Eljamel, the former head of neurosurgery at NHS Tayside, harmed dozens of patients before he was suspended in December 2013 and was allowed to remove himself from the GMC register. He's now working as a surgeon in Libya.
My dream, really, as well, was to be a police officer, and that'll never, ever happen.
Leanne now lives in constant pain. She needs crutches to walk. Her migraines have not improved, and she has a tube through her body controlling her spinal fluid.
You know, not being able to have the career you want, not being able to have the lifestyle you want, not being able to, you know, have children. Both of my surgeons verbally told me, you know, you can't have children, so a lot of things have been taken away.
BBC Scotland has spoken to 3 surgeons who worked under Mr Eljamel at Tayside. All 3 say he was a bully who was allowed to get away with harming patients and that the board knew. One of them has agreed to be interviewed but wanted to remain anonymous. He says Mr Eljamel was allowed to behave as if he were a god, partly because of the research funding he brought to the department.
I did raise some concerns at the time. I was shut down. The trainees said it to each other. You think you're going to survive if you said anything against Mr Eljamel.
The 3 surgeons told us Mr Eljamel discouraged the use of X-rays because he was so arrogant and because it saved him money in his private work.
The joke was that he saved £150 that way.
A later report found out he operated on the wrong parts of at least 70 patients' backs, leaving many with irreversible damage. The whistleblowers told the BBC Mr Eljamel allowed junior surgeons to operate unsupervised. This surgeon is speaking out now because he fears the Health Board has still not learnt the lessons of the past.
They all knew. They were all party to it. It went right up to the Trust Board.
The Health Board told the BBC it is working with the Scottish Government to support an independent review of patients' care under Mr Eljamel. A spokeswoman said, NHS Tayside remains committed to do whatever is required to support the independent process, recognising it will be tailored to the circumstances of individual patients. While we cannot comment on individual patients and their treatment, we would invite them to contact NHS Tayside's Patient Liaison Response Team. It was only after seeing the BBC coverage years later, Leanne realised she was not alone. She's one of 100 patients calling for a public inquiry to find out exactly what harm Eljamel did and why the Health Board let him carry on.
I thought it was just me. I didn't know there was 99 other people. I don't understand how he got to wash the blood off of his hands and go home, and the NHS won't take accountability. They were his boss. They were meant to look after me.
Leanne Sutherland speaking to our social affairs correspondent Lucy Adams.